China's part of the way through a very long transition period. It's slowing, and clearly people are very concerned about the impact that's having on a global economy, but I think the important story there is it's going to continue to slow. That the structural changes we see in that society, the population is ageing very quickly, there are fewer workers around now, that's going to act as a real drag on growth. And then of course its role within the global economy is it's becoming more expensive. Some of the things it's been very good at in the past, low value added manufacturing, those are becoming less competitive, and we're seeing firms locate to other parts of the world. Even Chinese firms are actually looking overseas now for wage arbitrage, and so China's having to move up the value chain, and we know that that's a difficult thing to achieve, and that combined with this shrinking population is going to mean that growth there gradually decelerates. We think by the end of the decade it'll be growing by 6%. In fact, you look out towards 2030, we think it becomes a 4% economy. So quite a big change from the China we've been used to.
And what does that mean for this push to turn China from being investment-driven, export-driven, to being driven by domestic consumption?
Well, at the moment, of course, investment's still very high. The stimulus packages they put in place at the early years of the financial crisis drove investment up still further. Now, consumption's actually stronger too. These higher wages are knocking through into a more of a consumer society. And over time, we do see investment gradually slowing as China becomes a little bit more service-orientated. But that's going to be an extremely slow process. We don't expect to see this rebalancing happening over the next 2 or 3 years. We think this is a 10 or 15-year project to change the shape of the Chinese economy.
So 15 years, potentially, till economists sit back and say, yes, they've done it. This is now a consumer-driven.
Yes, I mean, we think they will do it, but I think it's important to recognise that that's not actually a consensus view. There are plenty of economists out there who say, well, China is going to get stuck in this middle-income trap. They won't make it to the next level of development. When we look at policy making in China, we actually are quite optimistic. While there are many things about the way that policy is orientated and the political scene there we really don't like, I think you have to accept that economically policy making has been pretty good. So we're reasonably confident that they can pull off this transition to a more advanced economy. But many economists are not confident, and they point to a market like Malaysia and say, well, they didn't make it, so why will China? We think they've got a good chance, but it's by no means a done deal for China. They can pull this off.